That morning, nobody noticed. The old man sitting in the corner booth of the small diner with his worn jacket and faded cap looked like just another retiree. He was sipping his coffee, minding his own business, quietly reading his newspaper, until the waiter told him, "There's no room here. You need to leave." Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe real warriors never forget their brothers, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. The diner sat on the edge of Denver, on the ground floor of an old building. The Murphy's Diner sign was faded, the windows fogged up, and inside were old wooden tables and plastic chairs. At 10:30 a.m., there weren't many customers. A few retirees, 2 college students, and that man sitting alone in the corner booth, Robert Bobby Henderson, 67 years old, gray-haired, slightly slouched shoulders. He wore a dark navy jacket and a worn baseball cap. Deep lines marked his hands with a faded scar on his left wrist. Nobody would look at him twice. Just an ordinary grandfather, maybe a retired factory worker, maybe just someone lonely. He came every morning, same booth, same coffee order, reading the Denver Post. The waitstaff knew him, but nobody knew his name. They called him Coffee Guy. He'd leave a tip, say thanks, and quietly leave. This morning was no different. Bobby sat down, didn't take off his jacket because it was cold inside. The waiter came over. He placed his order. Black coffee. The young waiter, Tyler, was 23, a University of Colorado student working part-time to pay for expenses. He saw Bobby every day, but they never talked. The old man was quiet, never asked questions, never complained. Bobby opened his newspaper while drinking his coffee. Sports pages, news, economy. His eyes caught on one headline: Afghanistan veteran receives Medal of Honor. He looked at the photo. Not a familiar face, but that expression, that look. How many years had it been? Mupadu? 35? His hands trembled slightly. He set down his coffee cup. By 11 a.m., the diner was starting to fill up. Lunch hour was approaching, and nearby office workers were taking their breaks. Bobby stayed in his corner, continued reading his paper. But he couldn't focus anymore. That photo wouldn't leave his mind. 1991, the desert sands of Iraq, night operations. Back then, he was Sergeant Bobby Henderson. He served with Navy SEAL Team 3. How many operations had they carried out? How many nights without sleep? How many friends had he lost in those deserts? "Sir, another coffee?" Tyler's voice snapped him from his thoughts. Bobby looked up and smiled. "No kid, thanks." "This is enough." Tyler walked away, but Bobby's memory was still stuck in the past. The scar on his left wrist, 1993, during a raid. Shrapnel fragment. He'd spent 3 weeks in the hospital, then returned to duty. Never complained. When his service ended, he quietly retired, never told anyone his stories. After his wife Sarah passed away, he became even quieter. His children lived in different states. They talked once a month. He was alone, but didn't complain. At 11:30 a.m., something changed the atmosphere in the diner. 5 young men walked in, talking loudly, laughing, pulling chairs around. Obviously from the University of Colorado, expensive clothes, latest iPhones. One said to another, "Dude, what is this dump? Smells like old grease." Tyler was uncomfortable but didn't want to lose customers. He approached with a smile. "Welcome, guys. What can I get you? Do you even have real coffee here? Like actual coffee?" "Sure, we have espresso, cappuccino." "Fine, 5 cappuccinos. And tell that old dude in the corner to move. He's stinking up the place." Tyler froze. "Excuse me?" "That old guy, he reeks. We're sitting here. He needs to go." Bobby had heard this conversation. He folded his newspaper and set it on the table. He stood up. He pulled out his wallet and left money on the table. "Excuse me," he said to Tyler. "What do I owe you?" "Sir, you don't have to. It's fine, kid. How much?" Tyler's face was red. He was embarrassed but couldn't say anything. $3. Bobby left $5. "Thanks." One of the young men stood up. "Finally. Now we can breathe." Bobby stopped. He turned to him. His eyes were calm but cold. "Son," he said, his voice low but clear, Respect is free. It's not too late to learn, the young man laughed. Respect? From you? Who the hell are you, old man? Bobby didn't answer. He just shook his head and walked toward the door. Yeah, get lost, another one shouted. This isn't your generation, Grandpa. Bobby paused at the door. He put his hand on the handle but didn't turn around. Then he quietly walked out. After leaving the diner, Bobby started walking slowly. His heart was beating fast, but he knew it wasn't from his age. It wasn't anger. It was disappointment. 35 years. As Bobby slowly walked toward home, someone called out from behind. Mr. Henderson! He turned. In front of him was a young man in a police uniform. He looked familiar, but Bobby couldn't place him. I'm Jake Miller. I'm friends with your grandson, Tommy. Ah, yes, his grandson, Tommy's friend. Now he worked for Denver PD. Hello, Jake. How are you? Good, sir. Thanks. I saw you walking. You look upset. Everything okay? Bobby tried to smile. Just old age, kid, but Jake insisted. Sir, what happened? You can tell me. He hesitated for a moment. Then he told him. What happened at the diner? The young men's disrespect. How he was kicked out. Jake's face was getting red as he listened. Sir, that's terrible. That's completely wrong. Forget it, kid. It's over. No, sir, it's not over. This is unacceptable. Jake pulled out his phone. Sir, let me make a couple calls. It's not necessary, Jake. Just leave it. But Jake was already dialing. Hello, Sergeant? This is Jake. We have a situation. Jake hung up and turned to Bobby. Sir, where exactly were you sitting in the diner? Why do you ask? Just curious. What did those kids look like? Bobby described them. Jake was taking notes. Then he made another call. Hello, Lieutenant? This is Officer Miller. Do you know someone named Robert Henderson, 67 years old? The voice on the phone suddenly changed. So did Jake's expression. Yes, I understand, sir. Got it. When he hung up, his eyes were wide. He looked at Bobby differently. Sir, he said, his voice trembling, Are you Sergeant Robert Henderson from SEAL Team 3? Bobby was surprised. How do you know that? Sir, you're our legend. The Iraq operations, counterterrorism, they told us about you at the academy. You're exaggerating, kid. No, sir, I'm not. You saved 12 of your teammates single-handedly. In '93, that winter night, Bobby's eyes filled with tears. It wasn't 12. I could only save 11. We lost one. Sir, Jake's voice was serious now, what happened to you at that diner? This is unacceptable. Let me handle this. Jake, it's not necessary. Sir, you have dozens of brothers who fought with you. Still on duty? Retired? Let me call them. They need to know. Bobby tried to object, but Jake was already dialing another number. Hello, Detective Johnson. This is Jake. Do you know Sergeant Robert Henderson? The voice on the phone. Chief Henderson? Of course I know him. He was my instructor. Why? Jake explained the situation. Detective Johnson's tone changed. Where? Which diner? Murphy's on 5th Street. All right, I'll handle this. The call ended. Jake made another call. Hello, Captain Torres. This is Miller. Do you know our Chief Robert Henderson? The legend? Of course I know him. What happened? The situation was explained again. Captain Torres, this is unacceptable. Wait, let me make some calls too. And so the chain began. Every call triggered more calls. Detective Johnson called his team. Captain Torres called old friends. Jake called academy classmates. Every person who heard Robert Henderson's name had the same reaction. Surprise, then anger. Because Robert Henderson wasn't just a name. He was a generation's hero. At 12:30 p.m., the first police car left Denver PD's, then the second, third. Detective Johnson had gathered his team. Guys, today we have a special mission. Someone disrespected our chief. We don't accept that. Which chief, sir? Sergeant Robert Henderson, SEAL Team 3, retired. You might not know him, but he's the reason you can sleep safely at night. The young officers didn't know, but their seniors did. And the spark in those seniors' eyes showed this was no joke. Captain Torres was preparing with his team. "Sir, are we really going with the full team?" "Yes, because this isn't just disrespect. This is an attack on our values." From another precinct, Lieutenant Marcus was also preparing. He knew Bobby personally. He was the commander he'd spoken to on the phone. "Marcus," he said to the sergeant beside him, "you don't know Chief Henderson personally, but know that he's someone who put his life on the line for us. Today it's our turn to stand up for him." The preparation took an hour. Uniforms were put on, cars were prepared, motorcycles were brought out. Nobody was coming by order. Everyone was coming by choice. At 1:45 p.m., when Bobby looked out his window, he heard sirens in the distance. He was curious but didn't think much of it. His phone rang. It was Jake. "Sir, where are you right now?" "Home, kid. Why?" "Sir, if you don't mind, we'd like to go to that diner with you." "Jake, I told you it's not necessary." "Sir, this is important to us. You're our chief. We can't accept disrespect toward you." "We?" "A few friends." Bobby hesitated. "Don't start a fight, Jake." "No, sir, we won't fight. We'll just show you the respect you deserve." There was a knock at the door. When Bobby opened it, he saw Jake. 3 more friends were with him, all in uniform. "Sir, if you're ready, let's go." "Jake, this is too much?" "No, sir, it's not too much. It's necessary." Despite his resistance, Bobby started walking toward the diner with Jake and his friends. On the way, Jake asked, "Sir, are those kids still there?" "I don't know, kid. I hope they left." But they hadn't left. As they approached the diner, they could hear laughter and loud voices from inside. The same 5 young men were still there. Jake looked at his friends. He winked. "Sir, we'll wait outside. You go in, have your coffee." "Jake." "Sir, trust me, there won't be any problems." Bobby went inside. Tyler was surprised to see him. "Sir, you came back?" "Yes, kid. One more coffee." At that moment, one of the young men noticed. "Hey!" "You again? Didn't we tell you there's no place for you here?" Bobby stayed calm. "This is a public place." "Public, but you're not wanted here." The young man stood up, the others too. They surrounded Bobby. "Get out of here!" Just then, the door opened. Jake walked in. He was in uniform, looking serious. "What's the problem here?" One of the young men. "Who are you?" "A cop?" "Yes, and we received a complaint." "What complaint?" "About disrespect toward an elderly citizen." The young man laughed. "Complaint? Did this old man complain?" "No," Jake said calmly. "Someone else did." "Who?" The door opened again. 2 more officers came in, then a third, 4th. The young men started to get confused. "What's going on?" Jake turned to Bobby. "Chief, permission to proceed." "Chief?" asked one of the young men. "This old guy is a chief?" Jake's eyes lit up. "This isn't just an old guy. This is Sergeant Robert Henderson, Navy SEAL Team 3, retired. 35 years of service to this country. He risked his life in the desert so you could sit here freely." Silence fell. "And you," Jake's voice hardened, "disrespected him." The young men looked at each other. They weren't so sure anymore. The door opened again. This time Detective Johnson entered. Detective Johnson saw Bobby and saluted. "Chief?" Bobby was embarrassed. "Johnson, this wasn't necessary." "It was necessary, Chief. Disrespect toward you means disrespect toward all of us." The young men were really scared now. Tyler was also shocked. He was trying to understand what was happening. Detective Johnson turned to the young men. "Do you know who this man is?" "No," one stammered. "This is our chief, served from 1987 to 2005 in Navy SEAL Team 3. Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, counter-terrorism operations." Another officer added, "In '93, when a 12-man team was surrounded, he went in alone and saved them all. In 2001, even wounded in a bombing, he didn't abandon his post. He put his life on the line for this country's security." The young men couldn't speak anymore. Bobby intervened. "Guys, that's enough. Those days are over." "No, Chief," said Jake. "They're not over. These kids need to know. They need to understand what kind of man is standing before them." The oldest of the young men, the one who had been most arrogant before, stepped forward. His face was bright red. "Sir, we're sorry. We didn't know." "Not knowing isn't an excuse," said Detective Johnson. "Respect should be independent of age or appearance." Bobby intervened. "Kids, it's okay. What matters is from now on." "No, sir," said the young man, his voice trembling. "It's not okay. It's a big problem. We were very wrong to you." The other young men also started apologizing. Some were crying. Tyler, the waiter, was watching everything in shock. He approached Bobby. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I should have stood up to them. I should have protected you." "Kid, you're young too. You were in a difficult position." "No, sir, it was wrong. This won't happen again." Detective Johnson turned to the young men. "You'll learn a lesson from this incident. You'll show respect to the person in front of you, to the elderly, to the young, to everyone." "Yes, sir. And if you do something like this again, you'll face the consequences." Jake added, "This isn't just a threat. It's a promise." Bobby felt uncomfortable. "Guys, that's enough." The kids understood, but the officers weren't done yet. Captain Torres entered. When he saw Bobby, he stood at attention. "Chief, with your permission." "Torres, don't make such a crowd. Chief, this is a matter of honor for us." There were now 8 to 10 officers in the diner, all in uniform, all standing respectfully. The young men had shrunk into the corner. They weren't making any noise anymore. Bobby stood up. "Guys, thank you, but we should go now." "Chief," said Detective Johnson, "I want to say something." Everyone in the diner fell silent. 35 years ago you fought for us. Today we fought for you. This will continue." "Because," Jake added, "real warriors never forget each other." Captain Torres. "And real respect is never forgotten." Bobby's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, guys." One of the young men stood up. "Sir, we learned too. From now on, we'll show respect to everyone." "That's good," said Bobby. "Respect is earned, but kindness is given freely." And that day, at Murphy's Diner, 5 college students learned not just about drinking coffee, but life's most important lesson. Every person has a story, and respecting that story is all of our responsibility. Bobby Henderson quietly returned home that day. But he wasn't alone anymore, because true brotherhood shows itself not just on the battlefield, but in every moment of life. And so, a 67-year-old man was kicked out of a diner. But an hour later, the entire city learned who he was, because some people live quietly, but are never forgotten. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. Do you have silent heroes like Bobby Henderson around you? Share their stories with us too. Don't forget to subscribe to Human Stories. We bring you powerful stories like this every week, because every person has a story worth telling.